I wake up early in the morning from the call of my friend, and she called and said, "Wake up, the war started." And I was like shocked and confused and said, no, it cannot be. It's fake news. And I was like, I have two meetings at the office. What I do now? So you can imagine stupid thinking that time. And she said, no, wake up and check your window. And I go to the window and saw people with a luggage already trying to get out of the city, to save themselves. I think the most important was this build what you do before the crisis came. The communication channel, the partnership, and everything worked only because we already did this session, admin session we did before during the COVID time and now. And it worked because people knew this channel, how it works, how we operate, and they were prepared.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of our iComms podcast. This one is in English because our guest is not from Poland. So let me start and introduce our guest, Olena Androshchuk, Head of Corporate Communications, Henkel Ukraina. Hi, Olena.
Hi, Ada. Nice to meet you, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for coming. Olena is our guest today as we want to talk about resilience. And Olena, working in Henkel in Ukraine, you have some experience with resilience and crisis and the communications. But before we start, I would like to ask you, Olena, because we have this, this is the way we usually start our podcast. How was your journey in communications? How did it start and how did it go?
It's very unusual, I guess. I started actually not from communication. I started doing marketing. And when I did marketing, I really enjoyed doing this PR stuff, working with media. And I really find amusing how word can influence people's lives, yeah? And when I transformed it into has communication and became doing this new job for me, it was completely new reality, but I really like it. So I started, Henkel is my second job, but I started, I said, one business of Henkel, it's adhesive technology. And I was working like communication manager and growing in the role. But then when opportunity appeared to become a head, I tried and I was chosen to became a leader, and I really enjoyed this. Yes, it's quite short story, but what is new, I think it's helped me a lot, this marketing vision, understanding how business operates, and because sometimes it's very valid.
Mm-hmm. Your role came in a moment when it was crucial for the company, and I think it was one of the most important roles probably for the moment that we had, because I want to start with the February 2022 when the war started. And our podcast is mainly for those who take care of the internal communications in organizations. And I think if you could tell us how did you operate? How was Henkel Ukraine communicating to people in February when the war started?
Yes, thank you for this question. Actually, you are the first person who asked me this particular question about that day, what we did that day. I start from my personal experience, how it was. I wake up early in the morning from the call of my friend, and it was around 5 a.m. and very early, and she called and said, "Wake up, the war started." And I was shocked and confused and said, no, it cannot be. It's fake news. A lot of fakes was the brain was resisting this information. Also, it was already in the media that the war is coming maybe, and we had this crisis team already set up in Henkel Ukraine, and we talk about positive possible scenarios, but still my brain was refusing this reality, and I was like, I have two meetings at the office. What I do now? So you can imagine stupid thinking that time. And she said, no, wake up and check your window. And I go to the window and saw people with a luggage already trying to get out of the city, to save themselves. And then I checked news. And only when I checked news and heard first sound of attack, and light out the window, I believe, no, Now it's true. Because I even called my sister, let's go. And she said, no, it's not worth, it's not possible. I said, check the news. So this is how brain works.
It's amazing because, I thought that it was only here in Poland because I had all the time the feeling that you must have known in advance that here in Poland, because we had the work can start, but it was like you're saying, it was not something that was that could happen for us. But I was sure that for you that it was kind of, you were more prepared for it to come, and it looks like it was a surprise.
Yes, this is a brain activity. Brain, like machine. We want to survive, and they said no positive, only positive scenario. We don't want to believe the worst is happened. Yes.
Okay, it's interesting what you're saying. I have 2 meetings.
Yes, I have 2 meetings. So I was always focused on work. You know, I was like, I have 2 meetings.
Okay, so and now we have the moment, and you have your own life, your family that you want to make sure that everyone is safe, and then you have this role of internal comms.
Yes.
How did you handle here? Did you take care of the work this day, or nobody cared?
No. Actually, the day before we had our crisis management team. And as you know, CorpCom, internal comms leaders, they are part of this team, usually involved in management. And we talk about scenario. We didn't know the war will happen, but we talk that it's possible, what we will do. So each person knew and prepared some in advance, like draft of email or actions. So each knew what to do. So even we don't believe. Same in my personal level. I prepared this emergency, luggage bag, and I put medicine, my passport, my documents. I checked my flat. So everything was prepared. Even I didn't believe it will happen, but it helped me a lot to be fast. I've called immediately my sister. I agreed that we come in, pick up her, and we go. And then I just need to put a few things and flee, because it's a seconds. You don't have much time. Same in communication with employees. If you have already prepared scenarios, you just take the draft and add some points, but you don't need to reinvent something. You already have materials to work. And that helped a lot. The preparation phase, if you do not believe, just do the job, and good if you not need it.
Exactly. It's interesting what you're saying, because here in Poland, I have this, when I'm thinking about preparation, we had the moment when we all talked about luggage, the safety luggage, and, the luggage for the moment. And I think a lot of people bought it already and prepared. But at the same time, I haven't noticed companies preparing for the crisis. So on the personal level, we did the exercise, but on the corporate level, I think not many companies do. So I'm wondering, what would be the moment, or what should have happened so that we not only prepare personally but also for the corporate.
Good point. You have no idea. I think I read the news that some not corporate maybe world, but like museums even prepare emergency plans. So maybe corporate also should follow,
Probably. I think it's time. I mean, we don't want to scare people, but we want to feel, as you said, secure because you're prepared, more secure.
Yes.
Maybe this is
in our case, it was obvious. We already had the war in eastern part of Ukraine. So for us, it already not news. But still, even we had the war started in 2014. I was not sure it's possible full scale. Ukraine is a big country. Kyiv is a massive, and we living in Europe. It's a peaceful time. Why someone will attack, in such a massive scale? And that for me was like absolutely rejection of the idea. I think same in Poland, because you are part of the European Union, and
we have this feeling.
Yes,
I think,
NATO, and everything. We will not touch in political, but people think, we will be safe.
I think that now for us, it's even, I think we start to believe it's possible because we have this geopolitical situation. Yes. But at that time, I think nobody would think.
It was rejection.
Yeah, it was rejection. And I will go back to what happened in the company in a moment. But before, I would like to talk about you as a person, as a leader, like leading the team also, and how you did this part of your work at this moment. So you said you you had some package for the company, but what about you and your team? How much time did it take you to go back to the day as usual, I would say, as a team? You have to settle somewhere, you have to move out. And
when the war started, we did communication with employee. First, it was email from our president, then it was Ask Me Anything session online.
And the same day?
Same day. And it was like surprise for me. At first, what I did, it was a call to the president because we are like working together as the closest person is the president of the company, and she was like very effective as a leader. I must say, in her communication. I said, "Okay, make this Ask Me Anything session," and I said, maybe not all people will came because now I was driving the car out the city, stuck in traffic jam, and I asking her, maybe we will not see much. Like so many people in this call, but we still did, and a lot of people came asking the question. Even we communicate everything in email. This call was just basically repeating what we are doing. So yes, I think the most important was this build what you do before the crisis came. The communication channel, the partnership, and everything worked only because we already did this session, like Ask Me Anything session we did before during the COVID time and now. And it worked because people knew this channel, how it works, how we operate, and they were prepared, and everything worked smoothly for us.
So they could easily join the call,
yes,
they know how to do it.
It was not surprised that because we built this culture of dialogue like long time in advance. So when not the crisis,
But also interesting what you're saying, that you use the channels that people already knew.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because in times of crisis, if something new and unexpected appear, people like tend to scare.
Exactly. They will not learn new things in this moment.
Yeah. No, you're not possibly. I was in situations, the same situation. You do basic thing.
Okay, so it's interesting that you did the Ask Me Anything session from the car.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people probably dialed in from the cars or from the way they were in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, but how are you doing? I mean, because I can imagine that the first day you have a lot of adrenaline and you know what to do, but then you become... I can only imagine scared, tired, lost. I don't know. How did you manage the whole?
I must say the adrenaline will give you this energy quite a long time. At Iran, I still go to the border of Poland and then colleagues met me in the border, and then I flew to Portugal to my friends. But it was night after, 1 week, I was not sleeping because adrenaline was so strong. And you still on this adrenaline, you're very focused, you have a lot of energy. But what came, it's after this. You only after, I think, months, I realized, wow, I'm in new country, what to do next, how to rebuild my life, how to manage my... so I think work was the focus and anchor and what really helped me a lot in that time because I need to wake up, do my job. I was focused to deliver, this communication to employee. I knew they wait for some...
You were needed for
yes.
what you were doing. Okay, so it's also interesting you're saying that work was something that you already know in the whole new situation. Work was something that came back before you
something
knew it.
Saturn, that you can anchor and do your job
and have the sense of the day. Okay,
yes.
But after the month, when you realize that you have to also handle your team because you have also a team working with you, and so you first have to take care of yourself and then you have to take care of your team. I imagine you started to work remotely, 100% remotely.
Yes, but in this situation, we used to work remotely during the COVID again. It was not new. It more about mental health and how people operate. And that time I realized I need to do something with my, how do I feel about my life? And I feel very stressed. And I started to do meditation, long walks, do some physical exercise, starting back to routine. And what helped me this situation, I was really stressed. And I think all the leaders, even they not admit, they people, they still scared about their family, about their future. And what important is to be human, but trying to do some small steps to improve. And this experience also helped me. I realized I had the power to transfer this knowledge in organization. And I invite some speakers to do internal comms project. An employee was really appreciated. Because first month, I think we stopped operation in the moment the war started, and we started sales again months after. But months of not uncertainty, it's a lot. And we started to do these meetings like info hygiene, about influencers, like bad ones. So connected to the mental health, like assertive, how to be assertive, resilience. And people really liked this.
They took part.
Yes, very active. And I remember they give me a message like, oh, great, you're doing that.
Okay, so you helped yourself also by helping others,
Yes, that's true.
How do you? So I wanted to also ask you how the way you work in the remote today even is different to the way you and your team worked before. Do you see any differences in the way you work, you communicate with your team? Do people need anything else from you as a leader?
I don't see the big difference. It's very important to be in touch and consistency, in messaging, and also not control points, clear targets and where we go, what we are doing, and what result expected. And I think just to be a human and to realize that some days are bad. And you should accept this. After missile attacks, people will not came in the early morning, and you should reschedule. And so it's very often now that we can easily reschedule meetings. Before it was like, if it's meeting, it's a meeting. Now it's everyone accepts this, that we can reschedule, do the meetings, I don't know, next even week. It depends, because you should be human and realize that sometimes it's better not to have this meeting,
Okay, you have to be flexible, okay.
Yes.
But then I can imagine that there are some people who like things to be fixed. And they don't want changes. And they feel very uncomfortable when things are changing. How do you communicate to those groups which need some safety, some more safety than others? Do you see any difference? Are there any hacks or what do you do? Or maybe these are leaders who have to take care of those behaviors? I don't know.
Good question. As I told you, we did this communication channel in advance, and we had this Ask Me Anything or with the president. And the role of leaders is the biggest one in crisis like this. So our president and possibility to reach out to the president, ask questions, give feeling of stability for the people. Okay. And we did these meetings with the president on annual basis, where people can ask confidentially or right away the question if we still operating, we will if we have our working place tomorrow. So the basic needs, and all these answers help others to feel the stability. But as you say about changes, you can do nothing exactly. You can create maybe atmosphere, possibility, but responsibility to adapt is up to employees, I believe. So we're trying to grow this culture of taking responsibility that employees also has it. In crisis, we can do 1, 2, 3, 5. But for example, safety of your family, it's responsibility of your own. Company cannot create this safety for you. It's your personal decision. And, during the war, the situation was developing so fast. We didn't know. We cannot say today is one situation, 2 hours after it's another. And if you say, go to western part and maybe the road is blocked and you will be in bad situation.
So it's interesting what you're saying, that there's this clear division between what company can do for you and how we can take care, and what you have to take care of by yourself.
Yes, I think it was honest conversation. And during this first call, our president, she make it clear that we do 1, 2, 3, like provide support, financial support. We stop the operation, but your work remain untouched. Your place is. We not like fire or do some action. We just stop the operation. But in the same time, your safety and your family safety, it's your responsibility. We cannot give advice even because we don't know. It's too big to make this decision to you. So they should take this responsibility by themselves.
Did people expect the company to take more responsibility for them?
I think at the beginning, maybe yes, because of course it's natural. We want someone to help us, yes. But company and its leaders, they do maximum what they can in that circumstance. And beyond that, it's not like you are God, you can do anything, you know. So just explaining how it is help to realize that, yes, something you should do on your own. And it's okay.
Okay. So I will go back to leaders now because I can imagine that you had to also be not somehow, but the support for the leaders because you were an expert in communication and they probably needed some advice. Am I right? Did they come back to you and say, Olena, help us how to deal with the situation? Or were they also prepared in advance?
As I said, we had this crisis communication, like not communication, crisis management team, and communication is like mandatory part of it. So I was included at the beginning in discussion of contingency planning and everything.
But all the leaders took part in this?
Only the mandatory, like HR, for example, president, business leaders. There is like teams that they can cascade the information for the team, like plant managers, if it's because it's connected to closing the plants and employees. And yes, for leaders, we always had like close connection with our president, and I do advisory, and we crafted together some communication pieces. It depends. Some communication she can craft by her own, but usually we approved and align all communication.
Okay, but those first line managers, who I think are in the most difficult situation because people will go back to them with all those questions. Were they prepared somehow? Did they use your advice? Did you have any support for them to handle the whole situation?
In our situation, it worked very well with this president meeting.
Okay, so she was like
she was handling most of these human questions.
Okay.
Yeah, and we stream it in one phase. And of course, we give them like Q&A questions. When the situation was developed and changed, we added new messages like the go-to borders, people meet you, which contact line, and so on. So each time new information appeared, we spread it first for the management team with Q&A, how to answer, and then only for the teams.
Olena, thank you very much for this part, because this was the first episode with Olena, and we're going to have the second one, and so see you in the second one.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.